Welcome back. This is the second video in the basic math video series, and let's go ahead and just jump right in. All right, so let's go ahead and start plotting some numbers here. We'll make a little chart up here. And this will be our x, and this will be our y. So we're going to start simple, and let's just start with two variables, our y and our x. Okay, so y equals x. So we're using a y, and we're using our x. And I want to go into this a little bit further here. The y in our slope-intercept form is a dependent variable. Okay, so it is dependent on the other variables or dependent on x. X is an independent variable. X is whatever we choose. We can choose x to be 2, we can choose x to be 1,000, we can choose x to be -50, whatever we want x to be, we can kind of choose what that is because it's independent of everything else. But y is dependent on x. So to get y, to get the y variable, that requires our input of x. Okay, so let's go ahead and start plotting. I know that can be confusing, but let's go ahead and start plotting and you'll kind of see what happens, okay? So let's just plot a few numbers here. Let's say we have a 1, 2, and a 3, okay? So let's go ahead and go down to our equation here. So y equals x, okay? So if x is 1 and x equals y or y equals x, they're the same thing. So if x equals 1, y equals 1. If x equals 2, y equals 2. And I'm sure you can guess that if x equals 3, y equals 3. So if we go back to what we previously went over, this is going to be 1, comma 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Okay. And these are our points on the graph. So let's go ahead and start plotting here. And I want to give it enough room to be able to kind of see the difference here. So we'll kind of adjust this graph as we need to. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and start marking our points. So the first point is 1, 1. So right about there. Our next one is 2, 2. And 3, 3. Okay. Now if we look at our line starts at 0 and goes up through here. So this is just our simple y equals x curve or x line. Okay. And we've done our first line. So now that we have our first line, let's go ahead and start adding things and kind of building on what we already have. So I'm going to go ahead and clear out some of this stuff. All right, so we've cleared a few things out here, and we have our y equals x on here. So let's go ahead and start adding a few more lines, and let's go ahead and add slope. So same thing, we're just going to have y equals, and now we're going to do y equals 2x. And 2 is our slope, right? 2 is our m in this case. And this is just simple multiplication, all right? So let's add a few plots here. Let's add 1, 2, 3, and we'll add 4, right? So x, which is 1, times 2 is 2. And then we'll just run through these. 2 times 2 is 4, right? And I'm just down here. I'm just taking our x, which we'll do now is 3. Okay, so 3 times 2 is 6. Now 4 times 2 is 8, okay? And now let's look at and see the difference between our y equals x and our y equals 2x. All right, so let's go ahead and start plotting, and we'll put a few points on here to kind of understand where we're going from. And since we have an 8 in the y-axis, we'll go ahead and kind of squish these together a little bit here. Some of these lines just are not very straight, so forgive me. Okay, so we have 8 now. So let's just go ahead and go. This is 2, this is 4, this is 6, this is 8. Okay. 2, 3, and 4. All right, so our first point is 1, 2. So we're about right here. The next one is going to be 2, 4. So it'll be about right here. 3, 6, and 4, 8. Okay. And now let's look at what this does. So let's go ahead and connect the dots here. And here is our new line. And if we look at this, let's look at the difference here. All right. So our new line here, our y equals 2x line, is steeper. Okay, we call it steeper than our y equals x. So why is that? Well, it's because our slope is 2. All right. Y equals x is, you can say it's y equals 1x, right? Our slope in the y equals x is 1. Our slope in y equals 2x is 2. Okay, so let's think about what's going on here, all right? So as we move along our curve or our line, as we move, let's take 2 here, okay? As we move, every time we increase 1, so when we go from 2 to 3, every time we increase 1, y increases by 2. Okay, so we increased by 1 on our x, which means we increase our y by 2. We can look at it over here, all right? When we move from 2 to 3, we move over 1. Well, we move up by 2. Okay? So think about that. Each time x increases by 1, y increases by 2. All right, so let's go ahead and switch our formula up here. I'm going to kind of clear things out, make it a little bit easier to see things. Okay, so we've kind of cleared things up here. Let's go ahead and do another equation here. So this time let's do y equals, and we'll do a fraction. So we're going to go 1/2 x. And we're going to do 1, 2, and 4. Just to kind of keep things a little less messy, let's do 1, 2, and 4. All right, so let's go through this. So x, when x is 1, y is 1 over 2, or 1/2. If x is 2, 2 times 1/2 is 1. And if x is 4, 4 times 1/2 is 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and plot these. So we have 1, is 1/2, 2 is 1, 4 is 2. And let's go ahead and make our line here. So what's going on here? So y equals 2x was above this y equals x, and y equals 1/2 x is below it. So y equals 1/2 x is flatter than y equals x and y equals 2x. Okay, so let's think about how these work together. As your m increases, and remember your m is your slope, the bigger your slope gets, the more steeper it becomes. And obviously, the smaller it gets, the flatter your line becomes. So as m increases, your line becomes deeper. And as m decreases, it becomes flat. Okay? So remember, understand how this works. As you go through any math, any economics, think about how things are working together and understand what's going on. Don't just understand how to do it, understand what's going on. Everything will become much simpler if you take the time to figure out why things are the way they are and why, if M increases, it gets steeper. And then when you learn more things and you expand on what you already know, those new things are going to be easier to pick up. Okay. So that's your quick life lesson for the day. Understand what's actually going on within the system. We're at a good stopping point for this video, so we'll go ahead and stop here. In the next video, we'll add on to what we've already learned and finish up our slope intercept.